We've been talking a lot about how AI is getting a lot of attention in the stock market, in part because it seems like it is revolutionary and changing business, including here in Canada, where there's been a lot of talk around AI. We've also got some homegrown players that are making a name for themselves globally, startups like Cohere and Coveo getting onto the global stage. Of course, all of this, though, invites more questions about how AI fits into our wider world, how governments should be thinking about all this. Let's get some perspective from David Skok, who is both an entrepreneur and the founder of The Logic, which covers Canada's technology sector. They've also released a new book on the state of AI in Canada. David, nice to see you.
Great to see you again.
What's the key finding on the state of AI in this country?
Well, you know, it seemed everybody had this epiphany moment. What was it, November 30th of 2022, when ChatGPT was released out into the world, ChatGPT 3. And the epiphany, or the thing that we really found in this book, after doing this, months of research, was Canada's been at this for a really long time. It was 2005 when CFAR first, put money towards AI research in this country, and it was actually Geoffrey Hinton who had put money towards. And so when you think of, we hear a lot about DARPA and about, the internet and how the U.S. military was involved in that, you actually can look at Canada's AI lead and think some of that early research that was done so long ago. That's a really, really interesting thing. And so many researchers have come out of that world. We know the Godfathers, the Hintons, the Bengios, the Rich Suttons out of Edmonton. But Aidan Gomez, the next generation, you mentioned Cohere, he came from there. Ilya Sutskever from OpenAI, who was part of the dramatic boardroom shuffle last November. Raquel Urdazan from Uber. Nick Frost, also from Cohere. All of these people came out of this moment. It's really a remarkable Canadian success story. The big question, and the question that we try to get at in the book, is what now? Yeah,
and a lot of those individuals, whether it's Hinton, who did great research, within the ecosystem that is AI research in Toronto, but then working with an American company, so many of those researchers actually teaming up with those early movers from Silicon Valley who are pretty fast at reacting. I guess that's sometimes a good thing in terms of elevating these people and what we're doing here, but they're still foreign companies. And I wonder what your experience in putting this book together told you about that.
Yeah, it's very much the brain drain story of Canada. And if you talk to different researchers, they'll tell you different things. You talk to Vector Institute, they'll say in Toronto, they'll say, we retain most of our graduates. But the reality is a lot of these graduates from Creative Destruction Lab, from Vector, from Amy in Edmonton, or Mila in Montreal, they do go south. It's actually a very similar Canadian story than it was with auto manufacturing or medicine. How do we retain our talent? And that's something that we really tried to dive into in the book.
And how does Ottawa fit into the equation? Because if this is all as transformational as, for example, in the stock market, what they think, even though there has been a pretty broad conversation in Ottawa and pushes towards AI-related legislation, this stuff is moving very quickly. And sometimes in this country, technology moves a lot faster than policy, and that's a complicating factor for a country of our size. What did you learn there?
There's an inherent tension, of course, right, between the doomsday scenario of robots, Terminator taking over our world, along with the financial and economic opportunity that you can have with tools like artificial intelligence and LLMs. And so that's really a key part of the legislation that's now currently being discussed in Ottawa. Another piece that I don't think is discussed enough that we talked about in the book is the geopolitical and defense part of this. You cannot have language learning models without immense compute power, processing power, and without chips manufactured in Taiwan. And so where does Canada fit in the geopolitical story is something we also touched on. One of our reporters went to Bletchley Park in the United Kingdom, where they had that major summit last November, to really dive into what are the strategic imperatives associated with trying to compete on the global stage.
We've been talking a lot about NVIDIA. It's worth reminding our audience that because of the tensions between China and the United States, that company has been going through all sorts of hoops to try to ensure that products that are available in both markets essentially respect the wishes of these respective governments.
It's one of the reasons you're seeing its stock price fluctuate so dramatically over the last 24 to 48 hours is some people betting that maybe, if China's going to put a block on their, and they already have put a block on their premium chips, that's a problem. But also, you now have domestic champions like Amazon, Google, Meta, Microsoft, who are moving in and with the help of government to say we don't want to be overly reliant on a global chip manufacturer.
And what about for established companies in this country? Many of them will talk about how they are implementing AI, generative AI, into their business models. I do go back to those massive companies in Silicon Valley who have a pretty strong track record of sucking up as much talent as they can, including some of that Canadian talent. Should we be having a bigger conversation if we don't want to see other industries massively disrupted by, again, foreign companies over the next 10 to 15 years?
There's a great chapter in the book where we talk about how Canada's big banks, for example, are trying to apply AI into their world. And I think the question you're getting at, John, is a very important one, which is this a transformative technology? Or is this a technology that can be purposed and applied to your existing businesses or disruptive businesses or not? And so it's a huge question mark of, are you better off supporting your local champions in banking, in telco, who have massive advantages, and empowering them by leveraging the technology, or by really growing your AI champions domestically?
And just a final question just about people. There's a broader societal concern anytime new technology emerges on what it means for me and my job if this AI can do it better. And I'm curious what your biggest takeaways from the work you guys have been doing is on that very subject.
There's a chapter on labor and the big debates on labor, and there's a chapter on productivity. And it's these two things that are really going to tie in. You know, you saw earlier you had a conversation about, inflation and housing, and productivity is a massive part of this. We all know that the last 7 out of 8 quarters, productivity has been stagnant. So what can AI do there, while at the same time not displace too much labor?